Hello Bookish friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi and today we are talking about the books I read in the month of October. First, I want to apologize for any quality issues on this video. I am actually filming this on my iPhone with my little mini microphone because my camera decided to shit the bed. I was filming a video on Monday and all of a sudden my camera just died, didn't want to work, would not work, so I had to bring it to Best Buy and they are seeing if they can service it, which is just fantastic for me because I leave for Hawaii on Saturday. It is the Wednesday before we leave. When I am filming this, you are watching this while I'm already in Hawaii. So that was fun. And I was like, well, shit. I had this whole plan to have all these videos go up, and so now I'm stuck filming on my phone, which is not ideal, but we're going to make it work. On a happier note, let's talk about the 14 books I read in the month of October. October was quite a weird month reading-wise. I feel like I DNFed a lot of books in this pile just because I was like, you know what? If it's not bringing me happiness, excitement, intrigue, I don't need to waste my time reading bad books this month. The first book I have here was one that I was so excited about, and when I started reading it, I was like, this doesn't live up to the expectations I set for it. And that book is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Canas. I loved her book, The Hacienda, last year. I feel like that was spooky and vibey all throughout. Whereas this one was kind of like, okay, there was a vampire attack at the beginning or some sort of monster attack in the beginning. Then it was just day-to-day life and nothing ever freaking happened. I listened to the audiobook for this one, which is what I did for the Hacienda, and I absolutely loved the audiobook. So when I got the audiobook of this one from my library, I was like, that's the way to go. You're going to get all the vibes from the narrator, so I don't know. I actually DNF'd this at 60%. 60% of the way through this and just did not care. Like, I couldn't care even if I tried. Like, I literally was like, this book should have not been written. Like, you go from the Hacienda to this, like, the two books just don't match in vibes. Like, the Hacienda was spooky all throughout, whereas this was only spooky at certain points, and honestly, that was just such a disappointment for me. So I ended up rating this book 2 stars. Next book I read was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I gave this 5 stars. Absolutely loved this. If you didn't know, I am filming a Harry Potter reading vlog series here on my channel. Videos 1 and 2 are up. I am going to be reading the 3rd book in the month of, we're going into November, so I'm very excited to continue on. This was definitely my favorite out of the 2 so far, just because you don't have the introduction of all the characters and you kind of already know their dynamics, how they are, how they think, how they act, so it's kind of just getting back into shenanigans at Hogwarts rather than like learning who each person is, their personalities and whatnot. So love this, gave this 5 stars. Next, I listened to the audiobook for Everyone Here Is Lying by Shari Lapena. I was very kindly gifted every single book this author has back in the summer, so I have been slowly working my way through all of her books. I rated this 4 stars. This was phenomenal. Shari Lapena has something like with domestic thrillers where she just like, there's just no lag in her plots whatsoever. It is constant action, constant chaos, constant confusion. Think you have it figured out, but you don't. Let me tell you, I tried so many times to be like, okay, this is exactly what happened. This is where she went. And then something would happen and I was like, nope, never guessed that. I absolutely love this. This is about a girl who goes missing. Her parents are trying desperately to find her, and pretty much everybody in the story and involved with this disappearance is lying, as the title suggests. This was constant thrills. Like, the plot of this just never dulled down, and that's why I love her book so much, is because they're like short thrillers. They're like 300-ish pages, but no page is ever boring. Like, I don't think I've ever read a Shari Lapena book and been bored at all at any point in the plot. So I love this and I can't wait to read more from her. And again, this was a 4 star for me. The next book was one that kind of like stuck with me, and I rated it 4 stars, but I probably should rate it higher, but it's also not a 5 star, so we're going to put it in the 4.5 star range, and that is Hunted by Darcy Coates. This author is wish-washy for me. Like, some of her books are really good, and then some of her books are just terrible. This was one that was so amazing. Like, when I finished reading this, I was like, damn, I'm kind of gonna miss that book. Like, I absolutely love this, and it wasn't like the best book in the world. I don't know what it was about this book. Like, I just loved this. Like, I think I got very into the characters and very into the plot of like them finding her. So this basically follows a couple different characters, one being Eileen, who went missing in these woods, and her brother and his friends are trying to find her. And once they go into these woods, it's not as easy as I thought it was going to be. So they're basically searching for her, and constant, crazy, creepy, crawly things keep happening. And there may or may not be a monster. You have to find out. But this book was so good. This was 415-ish pages or something like that. And at some points I was like, does this really need to be this long? But then I finished it and I was like, yeah, actually it kind of did. Like, I don't feel like I missed anything. I don't think I needed anything extra. The ending did seem a little like rushed. Like, I feel like I could have used less in the beginning, more at the end. But I don't know. I love this book. I'm going to give this 4.5 stars. Next is a book I didn't finish because I just don't think these kind of books are for me. This is 19 Claws and a Blackbird by the same author who wrote Tender as the Flesh, which I love Tender as the Flesh. But this was a collection of short stories. I read the first couple ones and I was like, I don't think this is for me. So I don't even know if I rated this. Gave it 2 stars, but honestly, I should not be the type of person to be rating this. So don't take my rating with any type of meaning, because I'm not a short story girly. And this just wasn't for me. So the stories that I did read were like, okay, but I think I was just confused and just not for me. Next, I read a fall-themed graphic novel that I absolutely love. This is Pumpkinheads by Rambo Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. Absolutely loved this story. Loved the illustrations in this. Loved the cozy fall pumpkin patch friends vibes. I gave this 5 stars. This was so cute. This follows 2 of our main characters, Josiah and Asia, who work at a pumpkin patch together. This is their last year doing it, as they are seniors in high school and they are both going off to college. He is trying to find this one girl, so these 2 go on an adventure to find her. When he finally finds her, he realizes, oh my god, my true love has been in front of me all this time. And it's just so cute. It's high school love at a pumpkin patch with all the cozy things. It really doesn't get any better. And I honestly love like these illustrations. Like, they are so cozy and cute. Just overall, absolutely enjoyed every second of this. The next book was also a very highly anticipated book. And this one kind of lived up to the hype. Not absolutely, but that book is The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I gave this 4 stars. I love this. Didn't like absolutely love it. But I also was kind of like that with Spells for Forgetting. Like, I loved that book, but I didn't like absolutely die and drool over it. And that was kind of how I felt about this book. Our main character, June, is trying to solve the disappearance of her mother in this book while also trying to figure out her family's curse. It seems like every Pharaoh woman has this curse of just like randomly up and disappearing one day. And so she's trying to figure both of those things out. There is romance in here. There is mystery in here. There is thrills in here. There's a lot of good things in here, and I honestly love this book. It has all the cozy fall vibes. Like, it just, when you're reading anything from Adrienne Young, like, it's just going to be a good time. Like, there's really not much more to say about it than that, but I gave this 4 stars. The next book is also, like, kind of a DNF, but I would like to pick it back up again at some point. I just don't really think I'm actually going to, and it makes me sad, but maybe I'll finish this in Hawaii. Maybe I'll bring this book with me on the airplane. That's probably exactly what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to finish this book while I'm in Hawaii. So we're going to put this back on my currently read list. I'm literally doing that right now. That book is The House Witch by Delamock, I think is how you pronounce it. This is basically just a cozy fantasy romance thriller book. And it has everything you could ever want in a book, but it is a little slow. It is more so day-to-day life of this house witch. House witch's name is Finley. He joins the crew of a very prestigious king and queen. He becomes their cook, obviously, and he basically sees everything that happens in this castle, from drama, romance, fighting, pregnancy, everything that happens in this house, he pretty much is involved in, not like purposefully, but everybody just like gravitates towards him. He's obviously very good at cooking. Everybody loves his food. He kind of like mesmerizes people with his cooking. It is a cozy book. I got like halfway through. Let me see if I can show you this. My bookmark is still in here. So I got like halfway through this and I was like, okay, I just need something like a little more interesting with a lot more plot that's a lot faster paced. So But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm probably going to bring this to Hawaii with me and finish this while I'm on the plane, because when I'm on a plane, I can focus on anything, no matter how boring it is, no matter how slow it is, how fast it is. Reading on planes is like my jam. So I feel like I could easily finish this on the plane. So that's going to be the plan. I'm going to bring this with me. So this is not yet rated, but I am really enjoying this. It is very cozy, and it makes me hungry every time I freaking read it. Next book is another DNF, which I'm really sad about because I have really high hopes for this book too. And that is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandanna. I had the audiobook for this, and my loan ran out before I could finish it, and honestly, I was like, I don't really care. I don't know what it was about this. It's about this witch who pretends to be a witch online, but she really is a witch in real life. She sees like an ad about a job. She goes to take it. She has to teach these young girls magic, but then somebody there. It's like a grumpy sunshine romance, but honestly, I could just care less. I really didn't care. What I did read, I think I read like 60 or 70% of this before my loan ran out. I gave that 3 stars because I did like it, but I feel like if we had some more spice earlier on, I would have been a lot more into it, but it is what it is. Obviously not the book for me, so whatever. This next book I have thoughts on, and I don't know if they're good or bad thoughts. It's just... the next book I read was House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I also listened to this on audio. An audiobook for this is the way to go because you can feel the emotion and the fear and the just everything through the narrator's voices. Like, this book was creepy. This is a book about our main character, Marion, who feels really stuck in life. She lives in the slums. Her brother's abusive and a drunk. She wants better for herself. She just wants out of her town. So she goes to be a blood maid for a prestigious countess. And a blood maid is essentially somebody who you feed your countess with your blood. They're basically vampires. But this was freaking creepy, like so creepy, and it made it seem like it was so normal. So basically this countess is like sacrificing these girls for herself and just taking their blood and basically killing them. That might be a spoiler, sorry. I absolutely love this. I gave this 3 stars simply because the ending was so rushed. Like, this was a short book, and it definitely could have been a little bit longer. I would have loved to see the ending of this play out a little bit slower, honestly. This is 288 pages. It could have even used an extra, like, 10, 15 pages. Like, I'm not saying it needed an extra 100 pages, but it felt like all of this tension was building, and then, snap, it was done. And you're like, wait, what? That was it? Like, that was the ending? Like, I feel like the ending could have been dragged out a little bit longer, which I don't normally say about books. I usually like shorter books, but this definitely could have used an extra, like, 20 pages. I really did enjoy this. If you can handle gore and creepy stuff, definitely pick this up. This was a good one. Couple books left. This next book I'm going to talk about briefly because I finally took the dive into the Sarah J. Maas world and read A Court of Thorns and Roses. I freaking loved this book. I gave this an immediate 5 stars. I really thought this was going to put me into a reading slump. Luckily, it did not. But all I think about right now is this world. All I think about right now is Farrow and Tamlin and pretty much everybody else in this book. Like, this book was so freaking good. I'm not even going to describe the plot because I'm sure you probably already know what happens in this book. But let me tell you, this book is totally worth the hype. Like, 1,000% worth the hype. I had been, like, so close to giving these books away, and something in me was like, no, Lexi, like, just keep them. You may want to read them at some point. I was so against reading them because I was like, I think they're too intense for me. I don't think I'm going to like it. I don't think I'm going to understand it. And one of my friends from college was like, no, please just give it a shot. And I did, and now I am fully obsessed. I am bringing books 2 and 3 with me to Hawaii, so that just shows how obsessed I actually am. I literally cannot wait to keep reading in this world and read all of Throne of Glass, all of Sarah J. Maas. I can't wait to continue reading more of her books because her writing style, so good. Did I say I gave that 5 stars? I gave this 5 stars. Next, I read the 4th edition in the Killing Stalking manga collection by Koogie. Not my favorite one. I gave this 3 stars. If you don't know what this book is about, it is a very deep and dark manga series about killing and stalking, obviously. I don't want to say too much about the plot because it will definitely ruin everything for you, but basically our main character, Yoon Bum, is obsessed with this guy named Sangu, breaks into his house, and realizes that Sangu is not who he thought he was, and then he gets wrapped up in all of Sangu's drama and trouble. And I'll leave it at that. But I have all the books so far. I think it's going to end up being a 6-book series, and I really loved books 1 and 3. Those were definitely the best by far, in my opinion. And books 2 and 4 are like necessary in getting you to the next step, but just not as intense. So I ended up giving this 3 stars. Next, I read another graphic novel, and I gave this one 4 stars, and this one is Over My Dead Body by Sweeney Boo. This is essentially Harry Potter, but for witches. The style on these graphics is so damn cute. Basically, this follows our main character, Abby, who her mentee goes missing in these dark woods that are like surrounding this witch school. And she goes on an adventure to try to figure out what happened to her friend and basically find her in these woods and solve the reason why she went missing, I should say. I don't want to say too much about this. This is obviously a short book, so anything I say will be a spoiler, but I absolutely love this. This definitely gave me Harry Potter vibes. Definitely gave me Harry Potter vibes. But the only reason this book did not get 5 stars is because the way it ended, and you'll understand if you read this, the way it ended, you hear these characters' names and you're like, wait, who was that again? And then you go back and you're like, oh yeah, that was a teacher. They did mention them. But like they never like talked about the teachers throughout the book. It was, okay, you learn the teacher's name in the beginning and what they taught, and then you just follow Abby and her friends trying to figure this out, and then at the end, when you figure out what is actually going on, you're like, wait, who's that again? Like, it didn't flow the way it should have, and these characters that did this thing at the end weren't really mentioned throughout the book, causing you to be a little bit confused. That is why this only got 4 stars and not 5. And the last book I read was Mr. Magic by Kiersten White. This is also the author who wrote Hyde, which I also loved. I gave this 4 stars. I listened to the audiobook. Audiobook is definitely the way to go for this one too. This is basically about a kids show called Mr. Magic, where these kids who were on the show don't really remember being on the show. They don't remember anything about their lives during the show, and then they all come together for a reunion. Basically, a lot of fucked up shit happened on this show that these kids kind of like mentally blocked out throughout their adult lives, and now you're like 30 years after the show and you're seeing what each character is going through. The ending is wild. This kind of turns into like a cult type of thing at the end, which I don't mind that. I will say the ending of this was a little bit confusing, and that's why I didn't get the 5 stars, because everything about this was perfect and just so well written and just kept me so intrigued. But then at the end it was kind of like, okay, boom, 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 and then you're like, wait, I'm still at point 1. What happened? How do you explain this? Is why this only got 4 stars from me. These are the 14 books I read in the month of November. If it wasn't a DNF, it was a pretty solid 4 or 5 star, which is kind of like rare. There was no like middle of the road books in this. It was either DNF and I didn't like it, or I absolutely loved it. So that's fine with me. I'll take that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for bearing with the poor video quality on this. It's not as great as it usually is with my camera, but my camera decided to shit the bed on me, so what are you gonna do? Thank you for watching. Make sure to give this video a like. Let me know in the comments below your favorite read in the month of October. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you are notified every time I upload a video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.